Welcome back to Mic Drop Analysis. Today we're deconstructing a track by Rage Against the Machine, a band that mixes rap, metal, and punk with some of the most intense political messaging out there. Rage, made up of Zach De La Rocha, Tom Morello, Tim Comerford, and Brad Wilk. With heavy guitar riffs and lyrics just as heavy, they create a sound and a message that hit you like a sledgehammer. And there's no better example of that than Bulls on Parade from their 1996 album Evil Empire. This track is a full-on attack against militarization, corporate greed, and state violence. It's a battle cry for anyone who's fed up with the system and the dystopian world it's creating. Let's break it down. Right away, Rage is telling us that speaking the truth is a radical act. The microphone here is like a bomb going off, breaking apart all the societal rules that try to keep us in line. That mold represents the structures that force us to conform, and Rage is smashing it to pieces, showing us that the system isn't as strong as it wants us to believe. Genovevo de la O, a revolutionary leader from the Mexican Revolution, fought with passion and determination, and this line is saying that you need to bring that same energy. You either fight with purpose or step aside. Sitting on the commode here is a blunt way of saying that if you're not doing something, you're just wasting time. In this world, you're either standing up for something or you're letting the system win. There's no in between. Rage is talking about how the system uses violence with deadly precision. The sure shot is a metaphor for how the state's violence isn't random, it's calculated, efficient, and it's meant to keep people in line. And when they say bodies drop, it's a cold reminder that the system doesn't hesitate to take out anyone who steps out of line. It's methodical and it's brutal. This is a world where violence is almost routine. It's how the system stays in control. Then you've got drop and don't copy, yo. Don't call this a co-op. Here Rage is pushing back against the idea that we're all in this together. The system isn't some cooperative effort where everyone benefits. It's built to serve the powerful while everyone else just gets pushed around. They're saying, don't be fooled. This isn't about equality or unity. It's about control. It's almost like terror has become a resource, something the powerful feed on. It rains down on people, fueling the greed and control of these so-called power dons, the elites who thrive off chaos. Now that five-sided fistagon is obviously a nod to the Pentagon, the center of U.S. military power. But Rage flips it into something more sinister. The fistagon, a mix of fist and polygon, becomes this terrifying oppressive force. It's no longer just a building, it's a symbol of how the military-industrial complex crushes anyone who steps out of line. It's like this giant fist ready to smash anyone who dares to resist. Rage is bringing the environmental destruction caused by war and greed into focus. It's like the planet itself is being eaten alive by the constant exploitation and violence. With every conflict, every act of greed, that sore grows, and Earth gets more and more disfigured, turning into something rotten and wounded. The trigger's cold, empty your purse. This is where Rage shows how the system doesn't just destroy, it drains people. The cold trigger represents a kind of distant, almost robotic violence. It doesn't need to be personal or direct, but it's always there, lurking in the background, keeping people in line. Empty Your Purse is telling us how the system takes everything we've got, both financially and emotionally. The government or the powers in control keep funding wars, and the people are left footing the bill for their own oppression. The chorus, rally around the family with a pocket full of shells. This paints a pretty haunting picture. Instead of families coming together out of love and support, they're brought together by violence. Those shells aren't just ammo, they also represent the emptiness that's left when a society is consumed by conflict. In this kind of dystopian world, families don't connect over shared humanity anymore. They're bonded by destruction, by the weapons they carry. It's like saying the only thing passed down through generations is violence. This verse really hits at the core of the dystopia Rage is laying out. It's all about misplaced priorities. The basic stuff like feeding people, giving them shelter, or even something as simple as shoes gets completely ignored. Why? Because everything is funneled into fueling the war machine. The system doesn't care about the survival of its people. It's focused on keeping the war going no matter the cost. Then you come to the line, no need, just feed the war, cannibal animal. This drives the point home even harder. The system isn't feeding the war out of necessity. It's doing it because it's hungry for power and violence. The cannibal animal is the system itself. It's devouring its own people, eating up the very resource it should be using to take care of them. This line paints a pretty bleak picture of what's happening to knowledge. The library has been reduced to rubble, just another casualty in a world overrun by war and greed. And then we get to line up to the mind cemetery now. This phrase takes it even further. It's not just about people not knowing things. It's like they're lining up to bury their ability to think, to question, or to rebel. The mind cemetery represents the death of free thought. In this dystopia, ignorance isn't accidental, it's necessary for survival. People have to give up thinking just to get by. And this really hits at how ignorance fuels the system. The less people know, the easier it is for the military-industrial complex to keep making deals, building weapons, and waging its wars. And at the end, it's all about keeping people in the dark. In this dystopia, knowledge is power, and the system knows that keeping everyone uninformed is the easiest way to stay in control. And when he raps, they don't gotta burn the books, they just remove them. This takes it up a notch. They don't need to burn books anymore or make a big show of censorship. Instead, they just quietly erase things. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and it's way more dangerous. By removing information, books, ideas, history, they're making sure that people don't even realize what they've lost. The government is cranking out weapons at the same rate that they're locking people up. As they build more weapons, more people, especially those who speak out, get thrown into prison. It's a vicious cycle where the military and the prison system are two sides of the same coin, both feeding off this never-ending loop of violence and control. Then when you hear that chorus again, it hits differently. It's not just about survival anymore. It's about the families that are broken and hollowed out by the system. The pockets full of shells aren't just about bullets. They're about people living empty, shattered lives, caught in a system that's all about violence and repression. Now let's talk about that outro, Bulls on Parade. The bulls here, well, they're the enforcers of the system, the militarized police, the soldiers, the shock troops sent to keep people in line. But it's not just about them patrolling the streets. No, they're putting on a show. Their presence is all about power, making sure everybody knows that any form of resistance will be crushed and dissent will not be tolerated. These bulls aren't just out there to protect anyone. They're there to intimidate, to make sure that the people remember who's really in charge, and that the system is always watching, ready to strike. But here's the thing, Rage Against the Machine isn't just painting a picture of a dystopia. They're giving us a heads up. They're warning us that if we don't break out of this system, if we don't fight back with the kind of focus and intensity that Genovevo de la O had, this dystopian nightmare won't just be some distant fear. It'll become our reality. So Rage is asking, are we going to stay stuck in our comfort zones, letting this system grow and rot? Are we going to grab the microphone, take action, and break the mold? Thanks for watching Mic Drop Analysis. Till next time.